Well, hey y'all, welcome to the Screaming Hot Iron Skillet. Let's put some oil in here and then I'll tell you what I've got going on. I just got some olive oil here. I've got my skillet on a medium. I've got some pork chops here and some rice. So I've got about a couple, maybe a tablespoon and a half of olive oil, not olive oil, avocado. And then I'm gonna put just a good size chunk of our good Amish butter in here and get that to doing its thing. Now these pork chops are going to be so good, y'all. They're a sirloin pork chop, and actually, it was the least expensive cut that they had. And let me get this first one in here, and I'll continue to tell you about them. But there was a package of 4. Get that little bitty baby one right there. It was a package of 4, and they were $2.81 a pound, which came out to these 4 pork chops for $1.35 each, which is a pretty doggone good deal. And I've got the other 2 in the refrigerator. We're going to do something with them tomorrow. But what I did with these pork chops overnight, I brined them in salt water. Your ratio is 1 cup of water to 1 tablespoon of salt, and I just used regular Morton salt. I didn't use my good mineral salt for that. And what that does, it doesn't make the meat salty. Remember back in 8th grade science when we wasn't paying attention and the teacher talked about osmosis? It's pretty much what happens. It pulls the salt inside of it, and it just makes it to be very, very tender if you cook it. And I like to do that with my chicken and my pork chops. And in the summertime when I'm going to be grilling chicken outside, I love to brine that in some sweet tea. And so that just makes it extra, extra good. So I'm going to turn this up to about a 6 to 7. Now, we're not cooking these all the way plumb through. Right now, we're just getting a good brown on them. Because we're going to add, let's scoot you out of the way. We're done with you, darling. Get my butter. Let me put this butter out of the way. So we got a clean surface over here to mess with. So I'm just going to turn, let's see if this is ready to turn here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn this one over. Now, we are going to add Zatarain long grain and wild rice. And you'll see the dates on it because when I get home from the grocery store, I like to go ahead and date my things right then with a Sharpie. And then whenever I'm getting ready to throw a meal together, I can know, do I want to use the one that's going to expire next month? Or do I want to use the one that's going to expire in November? So just be a good steward of your cupboards, y'all. And that's what we're gonna add here. This Zatarain is very good, y'all. It has all the spices in it that you need, and it's made with real onion because you know that matters. Let's see, but we have no MSG added and no artificial flavors, and it's very good. But if there is a brand that you like, you use that one. But I like this Zatarain. Okay, these are brown, and I'm going to turn this down to, I'm actually going to put this down on a 3. Yeah, about a 2.5, 3. Okay. Now to this, y'all, this is the simplest thing. You can come home after work, put this together in a skillet, slap a lid on top of it, because the good people at Zatarain, which we're following their instructions here, says to simmer for 25 minutes or until rice is tender. Sounds good to me. What about y'all? Alright, so I'm going to add this entire thing just right over top of our pork chop. No big whoop, just toss it on in there. Now sometimes I like to add cranberries. Don't care for raisins in this. Whenever I do ham in maple syrup and butter, I like to add raisins. But one of my very favorite things to add in this is dried cherries. Cranberries are great, but these dried cherries just add a little something to it. You don't have to measure this, y'all. Just measure with your heart. And sometimes, let's see what we're going to do. Let's try to measure this. That looks like about 1/4 a cup, you reckon? Okay, there we go. And I've got 2 1/4 cups of just plain old water. And we're just going to pour this on top. Don't even really have to stir it. There you go. You are done. Got this turned on, let's see, about a 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 sounds good to me. I'm gonna put a tight lid on it, and then you've got about 25 minutes. So the good people say, take it off and then let it sit for about 5. You've got plenty enough time to get out some broccoli and prepare it and steam it for your family, or do some quick toss of asparagus and some olive oil and put it in the oven with some garlic powder and different things on it. So there you go. You got a quick, easy meal, because you know homework, they just have too much. Okay, not even going to get on a soapbox about homework. But anyway, I'm going to put the lid on this and we'll set my timer for 25 minutes and then we'll get back together and we'll take the lid off and we'll fluff that rice and we'll see what we think. So, see y'all back in a little bit. Okay, y'all, the timer went off after 25 minutes. There's still a lot of fluid in here, but I'm going to let it sit here and kind of evaporate out. And then I'm going to taste this, excuse me, just in a minute, and we'll see if this rice is done, but it usually is. But I'm going to tell you, this is a very special dish to us. When my daddy, we kept him home. He was on the hospice, and we kept him home, and my sister Carolyn and I, mother, took care of him. Well, my sister-in-law Kay took care of us. And this was on our weekly rotation. It was so good. She'd always bring enough for dinner and then supper. And so we were always glad to see that pretty lady come up the driveway. So, see what we think. And this is also going to be in my new cookbook that's going to come out. And I don't know when yet. I'm still putting it together. So, y'all hang with me. So, we'll get it going. So, let's see what we think. That doesn't need any more seasoning. There's plenty of salt in that package. That's my taster's may not be quite right yet. But I'm going to let this sit here and simmer with the lid off and let some of that fluid kind of evaporate off of it. And then we'll get back together when it's time to dig one of those pork chops out and we'll see how yummy they are. So, see y'all back in a little bit. Okay, y'all. I left it on simmer and I've turned this off now and I've moved it off the heat because this iron skillet retains heat like nobody's business and I don't want it to keep on getting hotter with that. But I'm going to go ahead and just take one of these pork chops out. Put it on my plate here and get us a helping of rice. Now, everyone's water is different. Our water here is very, very good to drink, but it's very, very hard. And so it does take my rice a little bit longer to cook just because the rice is so, I mean not the rice, but the water is so hard. But it tastes good and that's what matters. This is going to be hotter than the face of the sun. But we're just going to cut us a little bite here and that is so tender. Tell you, this is a good way, especially when you brine it, it just helps it to just bring all that flavor in and it puts some extra moisture in it. So, and that's got a little piece of bristly on it there. I need to cut that off. But let's just get us a little bite of this. And we're trying not to burn our tongue. I say that all the time. Y'all. That pork chop is slurping. It's done all the way through, but it's not dried out. It's so good. Get us a bite of this rice. And as a rice farmer's daughter, wife, mother, and a certified all-around good gal that's a parts girl, I appreciate y'all when y'all eat rice every time. Supports all of us rice growers. If I eat that cherry right here, y'all, I will. You will see me do a dance. It's gonna be hot. But anyway, you can do this with chicken breast. You can do this with chicken tenders, chicken strips, any kind of pork. I've never done it with beef. I like to do other things with beef. Pork cuts, any kind of pork cuts or chicken cuts, bone-in thighs. The sky's the limit. Get your protein. Get you some rice and some water. You don't have to put the dried fruit in it, but it kind of gives you a little, and you'll have yourself a good dinner. And your family will think you're fabulous because you're doing something different every night. That dried cherry, y'all. Woo, wait, that's good. Anyway, that gave me enough time. I got my dishes washed up. I got him a bread roll, heated up in the oven. I got us a jug of sweet tea made. And so we're going to sit down and eat them up, yum, yum. And I'll see y'all next time. Go make yourself something good and have some fun while you're doing it. So, bye, y'all.